Yeah, I did.
Absolute frying.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Okay, so I know it's been a while. It's been, like 2 months since we did our last show. I apologize for that. Me and Joe are just very busy working gentlemen. Joe's been an absolute monster, becoming one of the main casters of CWL. I think he's fantastic, doing a great job. We've had some tournaments that we missed, haven't been able to cover, so I apologize for that. But there's been a lot of stuff, crazy stuff going on in the CWL, and we're going to cover some of that stuff today.
Yeah, we sure are. I mean, yeah, I think I opened up the document and it was like February 12th.
Oh, cool. That's a
was
long
the
time.
last edit. Yeah, it's been a long time. But yeah, I mean, the only thing we missed really was Birmingham, and then you obviously have rest of stage one. So I think I don't want to spend too much time on this because we have a lot to get through tonight.
Yeah,
we have Seattle preview, Rostermania, relegation we can touch on. But before we get into that, we can just touch on stage one playoffs, just sort of where teams finish. You obviously have Rise and Envy at 7th, 8th. I think the biggest surprise to anyone was Rise Nation at 7th, 8th. Even Envy at 7th, 8th was a bit of a surprise to me personally. I thought they would at least get 5, 6. I thought they would at least win one series, but they didn't end up doing so. So those were big surprises to me. Red Reserve United got 5, 6. TK got top 4. TK honestly had a pretty good showing. I think their best showing since they won their second event. And then the top 3 of FaZe, Optic, LG, the ridiculous final. I think LG was a bit disappointed, but I think throughout the year, well, they were definitely disappointed, but I think throughout the year, they've been the most consistent teams in terms of placing, like top 3 every time. If you look at that winners bracket final against Optic, they feel if they didn't lose that search and destroy, they had some lead, right? They like threw it away.
Yeah,
on London Docks.
5-3, I think it was.
Yeah, they had a 5-3 lead. They go up 2-0 in that series, and they probably feel they're in a better position. But instead, they lose, and then they lose to FaZe, and then Optic grand final happens.
You know who else choked, Joe?
Yes.
We did.
Yeah.
How many best of 5s? 2 of them. That's
2.
tough. That's tough. So other teams can talk about chokes all day. Mm-hmm. Oh, my gosh. Well, ours is pretty freaking bad, too.
Yeah, and I mean, you can obviously talk about games 1 and 2 of the first series because I think that's what everybody was surprised about. As soon as you get into that second best of 5, the pressure's kind of on a little bit more, and FaZe probably feels like they're in it a little bit more. But games 1 and 2 of the first series, you have the London Docks Hardpoint where there's like a 70-point lead, and then the 5-1 search and destroy.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, looking back at it, there was some heroics from FaZe. Everything that should have went right had to go right. It did. You talk about the hard point, replays, getting a nade that kills 2 people off. How many times do we see a double nade kill in this game? Like, never.
Very rarely, yeah.
At the second hill at Main Street, he gets that. It gets Opti off the hill. They don't get scrap time. That allows him to earn streaks or get very close to streaks to where there's a bunch of crazy stuff that happens. And then when you have low docks control, you call in streaks, you have a perfect hold, and they just rotated the barrels, and they won that. And then game 2, I mean, you have both 1v3s, and you can look at those rounds. But, yeah, it was just some heroics from FaZe. It was like...
So, Joe, we got to talk about it. And, chat, you can participate in this question, too. Which 1v3 was better, replays or attaches?
Yeah, that seems to be a big discussion. I have to, go back and watch replays, but I think... Attaches was purely off timing, was purely off. It was a great, intelligent play, but he catches 2 in the back. He then challenges Krim. Krim has to challenge him due to time. Krim has to plant the bomb, right? So I think I'd give it to replays. Attaches was flashier, Definitely. But replays gun 2 people off 2 window head glitches.
That's what does it for me, dude. If you guys have played any sort of Call of Duty on London Docks, you know how hard that gunfight is into those tin windows, and he killed both people on both sides out of it. First Seth, and then he gunned Karma at the end, plus killing up Formal to get the 1v3. So replays takes it for me for sure. Attach getting through that artillery, potentially pretty lucky. I think it tagged him up a little bit, ended up not taking him out, but still crazy plays from FaZe to go up in that first best of 5.
Yeah, and then the second best of 5, they win London Docks Hardpoint again, and then they win both searches, right?
No, we won the search in the second best of 5.
They won both Hardpoints.
Yes.
Oh, that was the Valkyrie Hardpoint again, sort of heroics from replays. Uh, CTF though, Optic, you guys look great. I mean, you guys completely destroyed it. I think Clint and I were honestly bored during the CTFs. Like,
Yeah.
if we want to talk about improvements that FaZe has to make, teams will ban Arden for it. Like, if you learn one thing from that series, if you're going up against FaZe Clan, it's veto Arden Forest
For sure.
because their other two CTFs looked horrendous. I mean, obviously Optic is one of the better CTF teams in the world, but London Docks and Flag Tower, they just ran over them.
Yeah, for sure. But still, very, very entertaining championship in general. I feel like our community needed something like that. Like, yes, Birmingham was lit, a lot of fun, a very good grand final, but this one was spectacular in my opinion. It very much sucked that we weren't able to take it out. Obviously, I'm biased in this scenario, but just thinking of like the community as a whole, I feel like a FaZe versus Optic final like that, so many extra eyes on a match is much needed. Hashtag revive COD. We're getting there, Joe.
Yeah, we definitely are. I mean, again, I think that the game, it's changing. It's getting people back. Like, I don't want to touch too much on it, but battle royales are battle royales. It's the same situation over and over again. Like,
yeah.
I knew at some point some people are going to come back to COD. I totally get it. If you don't like this one, it is what it is. But yes, I agree. I think Birmingham was great. I thought just for the fans, for getting everybody everybody fired up, and then stage 1 playoffs. I mean, we had the best 8 teams in the world. You could substitute one or two, you could argue it all day.
Yeah.
But that was every single match was exciting, right? Like during the Pro League, as an analyst or a caster, there are some matches I just know what are going to happen. Like, you just know, right? It's like any pro sport. You know what's going to happen. Or unless it's a surprise, and then maybe game 5 you're sort of glued to your screen. So I just think for playoffs, I watched every single match. Like every single one was a ton of fun to watch. Yeah, they were great.
I just love the competition overall, and especially I think it's going to be pretty crazy leading up to Seattle too, with the new patch. Obviously, teams not having a lot of time with their new rosters to prepare. Will they even have search and destroy strategies locked in? It's going to be a lot of weird things. I would predict going into the Seattle tournament this weekend. Leading into the Rostermania talks of, obviously we're going to go over each roster. We're going to play our favorite game of better, neutral, or worse. Chat, obviously you guys follow along. We're going to give our opinions on what rosters we think are going to do better, just about the same, or I don't know, maybe flop. And then I believe there is another roster change period after Seattle, right? Before we go into stage 2. So this is sort of the testing ground for a lot of these teams. Will they work out? Are they going to, make a change right after? It's a weird scenario because you don't have a lot of time. This might not be the true potential of these rosters, but there might be a chance for another change after this.
I think there's more time actually after Seattle than teams had before.
Okay.
I think they have. I got to look at the official date, but I know it's a little bit longer after Seattle. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just the top 12 teams, the teams that get in from relegation, the bottom 4, they can't change. So those teams that are at the relegation tournament, that's their team for the rest of the year. But the top 12, they can make changes. They obviously can't grab players from those teams, but they still have a chance, right? Because you're going into May now, and we know around this time you have May, June, July, and then August hits, and that's champs time. So this is it. This is when you want to try to put the best roster together because you want to make a run at the World Championship. Like, nobody is okay with placing top 8. Like, maybe down the line when you look back at it, you say, all right, that wasn't too bad of a year, but everybody wants to make a run at the World Championship.
Definitely. And with how competitive things are right now, you're going to take any chance you have to make some sort of gain if you think it's possible. So we all love Rostermania. It's been a pretty decent amount of time since we've had a really good Rostermania like this. So let's get right into it. I'm going to pop up all the different changes on the screen. Joe, start us off. What's been happening?
I think the biggest sort of two, and I think we have to talk about Rostermania and the fact that there's a couple of things. There's a couple of factors. You have to talk about contracts. You're not always going to get what you want. Orgs aren't stupid. They're going to hold on to players, their star player potential. And then from players' point of view, you have this is the roster that I want. You have your second option, sort of. If this doesn't happen, this is what I want. And then you sort of have your last option, like, all right, if nothing goes my way, these are the players that I sort of have as options. And I think the first couple got what they want. I think Slash It or Rise and then the TK roster. So first things first, Slash It or Rise. A surprise, I think, to some after the success of Rise Nation, but similar to what we were just talking about, Rise Nation wants to win champs. They want to make the best roster possible. And when you drop, methods, you pick up Slasher. Now you have Gunless, Slasher, TJ, even Looney is solid. But in terms of the talent, it is ridiculous. Like, I think you could speak to this a lot, Tyler, because, Complexity was winning. You win the first event of Ghost, and then you drop Clay for Karma. And I think that's sort of a similar situation where you just sort of have to make that roster move. Something's up. You have to change, but also the talent that player brings to the team.
It's a good point. And how many times throughout, since we've started playing, has it one player in particular been sort of the talk of the Rostermania and starting that all off? I don't think it's really happened that often. Going back to that Ghost time when Karma was at that first event, he dropped like a 1.4. Basically was like single-handedly carrying his team through certain maps. Just insane at the time. I don't really remember any other players like that off the top of my head besides Slasher the past, year and a half, 2 years. The guy's been unstoppable. He was the main vocal point of this Rostermania of where he basically had his pick of where he wanted to go for the most part. Obviously, he couldn't go to certain teams, but he was like the main guy is my point. So the fact that he picked Rise means that he in particular has high hopes about the roster. It feels like he's going to fit in particularly well there. The biggest thing that I'm interested in seeing is how Danny, Looney, and Austin are going to be able to sort of lead together. Obviously, both very outspoken people when it comes to leading their teams and how they want to play the game. Might lead to some sort of clash on that regard. But speaking of purely talent, unreal roster.
Definitely.
And that's not to knock Methods at all. I think he was a very crucial player to this team. I think Methods has had the come-out year that he's been waiting for a long, long time now, and it did really, really well stat-wise as the main AR for Rise. But Slasher, the guy's been nuts, absolutely nuts. You have to think that they're going to get even better at Respawn if that's possible because they're already really good. And then it's going to be tough for this team to lose some series, in my opinion, with the slaying power.
Yeah, it definitely is. I even think Search and Destroy, what Slasher brings to that.
Yeah.
I think if you look at Method's MVP run, yes, it received a lot of criticism. I get it with how well TJ and Gunless did. But if you look at Method's bracket play Search and Destroy, it was like a 1.8, right? Like, it was ridiculous. I think that's what sort of led him to getting that MVP because against the best teams in the world, he continuously dropped great S&D numbers. And Slasher can match that if they know sort of S&D is the way for them to win, and then obviously winning respawns with the talent. Like, this roster should be able to do that. I think you bring up a great point with Slasher and Looney, but maybe this is the time where Slasher sort of takes a step back and just focuses on his gameplay. If there's a couple of things he gives suggestions on, like, hey, and maybe instead of doing this is what worked for us on Envy. But for the most part, I mean, that's what like a lot of players want. Like, they go through a phase as a player where you're a star player, then you have to sort of take the backseat role where you have to lead and make all these decisions. And now Slasher is back in that position where he has players around him that he's confident and can trust that will always make the right decision. So he can sort of just calm down, just play his game, and maybe we'll even see a better Slasher, which is kind of ridiculous to think about.
Yeah, I don't even know if that's possible for how good he's been able to do. I think stat-wise, I don't know if he's going to be able to put up such crazy numbers like he had on Envy, just because the supporting cast wasn't as strong, in my opinion. But this roster's looking scary. So now that we've sort of covered the Slasher to Rise move, chat, obviously follow along with us whenever we do this. But Joe, better, neutral, or worse? Okay, you're going better. I'm going better too. I think that's an easy pick, and it's a scary roster. It's very scary.
No, it definitely is.
Would you call them the for sure favorites to win?
No, but I think what Rostermania did was sort of give us a clear-cut top four. I think FaZe, Optic, LG, and Rise, I think that is the tier one right now. I think all four of those teams are a step ahead again. To me, Optic should have won Stage 1 playoffs. They are my favorite going into Seattle. But those other teams are right there with them, as we know. But I think that what this Rostermania did was create sort of a tier one from all the changes.
Yeah, definitely. I agree with you on that one. It's just going to be very interesting to see how well these rosters can sort of jive together so soon after making a roster change. Going to be a huge, I guess, we're going to see which players can adapt faster than others.
Yeah.
Moving on, though. We covered Rise a decent amount. The next change that we're going to talk about is Pharaoh and Methods to TK. I don't know how I feel about this roster, Joe. What are your
It's an interesting
thoughts?
one. This interesting one. So they obviously sort of get blessed with Methods, right? He gets dropped.
Yeah.
He's a great player. TK is like, okay. The way TK looked at this is we need talent. Straight up. We need people that put up numbers. Look, it works. It's what we always talk about. So they have Methods. So he's going to be the main AR now, right? Like he is the main AR. That's what he's comfortable doing. The biggest question mark to me is it's on accuracy now. He is now the flex player. We know how important flex players are. He is taking that responsibility. So I feel like TK, a lot of their success is going to fall upon accuracy. I think Pharaoh and Kenny as a duo are going to be great to watch. I think the pickup of Pharaoh, it probably caught off a lot of people off guard. It caught me off guard.
Yeah,
I heard a lot of sort of rumors about TK. It could have been this is just what happened again due to contracts or what teams wanted. But I thought they were going to keep the core three, and I thought they were going to drop, Theory for somebody like Hook or I don't know, just like a fast AR or a classic. Like I thought they were just going to fill that role. But instead they pick up two. I think the dropping of Chino was a big surprise to me. But I like what they did. They literally just went for talent. They said, if we want to compete with the best teams in the world, let's get that young talent. Pharaoh, we saw him in the Pro League. He got better throughout the year or throughout that stage one. His search and destroy was ridiculous. If you look at TK and how they won the first two events, you can point to the search and destroy. So yes, it is a question mark to me. It's very interesting to see how this team dynamic will play out. But again, to me, the key guy on this roster now is accuracy.
Oh, 100%. We're going to be able to see if they do stick to again, there's not a lot of time. There might be a time where they flip-flop potentially between Methods being flex and accuracy being flex. Who knows how that's going to play out exactly. But with the way it is, you got to think Methods is going to take over that main AR role. It's what he's done the whole year and have done, to one of the best levels. In terms of TK being able to keep at where they were, though, man, it just seemed to revolve around their teamwork. And yes, they got a lot more slang power, but are they going to be able to match that same amount of chemistry? I know things weren't looking as good at the later end of that roster after they got the couple of wins, but I don't know. It just seems like a forced roster to me. And I feel like they definitely have the pieces together to, consistently get a top four. You have to say it, right? They're upgrades individually, but will they have that same amount of teamwork? And is Pharaoh going to be able to perform as well as he did on his previous roster? You got to think gun skill wise, it's looking really good, but I don't know. I'm not completely sold yet in terms of them being like a top four team. I don't know. We're going to have to see, obviously.
Yeah, I think the dynamic that'll be fun to watch will be Pharaoh and Kenny and sort of how because every time you watch TK and you just watch Kenny, he just seemed to be so much faster than everybody else.
Yeah.
So I think that dynamic is going to be a lot of fun to watch if Pharaoh can play at that speed again. They went with the young talent. Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting. Sort of the same discussion. Who's going to be that leader? You imagine it again falls upon accuracy, but yeah, I mean it's tough because I'm going to go neutral here, and the reason for neutral is because TK was on the decline. They just were. I mean, they still got fourth at Stage 1 playoffs, but they had a couple of great series there. I still think this puts them around 5 through 8, and I think if the young talent pays off, they can breach into the top 4, but I'm going to go neutral because I think they were just on a steady decline.
Yeah, I think I'm going to have to agree with you on the neutral. You look at this roster top to bottom, you think they should be pretty nasty at S&D. All four of these players definitely have very good stats when it comes to that. So we'll see if people like Pharaoh and Kenny can sort of play that super fast duo together like you mentioned before. I'm interested to see these guys play. But, if I had to predict something, I think I have to be boring and agree with you in that 5 through 8. I think I have to, man.
Yeah, and again, I think Rise and TK were the two teams sort of that people knew. Like, this was going to be Rostermania. And the rumors, even during Stage 1 playoffs, like the warm-up days, like players were talking to each other. Like I was there. I was talking about like, hey, what are your options if you don't have a good weekend, right? Like they very much know like where their opportunities are. And I think Rise and TK were top of the food chain. That's where people wanted to go. After that, it gets interesting. These next couple really moves to me. I just don't know. So the next one up is Chino and Decimate to Envy. They're gonna obviously be playing with Classic and Hook. The big question mark to me, I have two big question marks. The first one is Decimate. What are we going to see from him? And the second one, and we've talked about this, who is going to be the leader of this team?
I have
Is it going to be Chino?
I think it has to be Chino.
At this point, because if you look at Hook's still a guy that's still trying to find his confidence. He's still trying to find his game. He's trying to find his comfortability. And I think Hook will thrive now because I think guys like Temp and Slasher just brought him down. They didn't help him very much. Instead of sort of building him up, they put him down. And I don't think that's what you can do. Classic is a very chill guy, right? Like he's the guy that says, let's rush A, right? Like there's not a lot of like sort of leadership there. Then Decimate, he's young, so I think you have to look at Chino. Maybe Chino can bring elements from the TK roster to this Envy team that have helped them in the past. There is a good amount of talent, especially young talent. It's just this team is a huge question mark for me.
Yeah, I think I agree with you on some of those points. I think, speaking specifically on Hook, I think Chino's going to give Hook the gas that he needs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hook is going to have a lot less pressure on his shoulders to just perform well because, if he went negative, he was getting toasted. We saw it multiple times in Pro League where they would just be in the middle of the map or right after the map, and you just see Temp and Slasher looking directly at Hook, just calling him dumb or who knows what they were saying exactly. But I think Hook is going to eventually find his rhythm in this game. It's been a bit of a rough start for him, but I think Hook has the potential to be in that running for top 5 SMGs in the game. He just needs to get that confidence, and I feel like Chino is going to be the good vibes that Hook needs in particular to play a lot better. But we have to talk about the talent of the roster too. Yes, Decimate had some pretty decent performances throughout Pro League, individually, things like that. Classic has been sort of up and down as well. In terms of these guys being consistently strong enough to break into the top tier, based on the individual player performances, I don't see it. I really don't. There's Chino at one time was an absolute beast, arguably one of the best players on TK, just dominating almost every single map. Recently, haven't really seen that as much. Hook, some really good maps playing at hyperspeed, some maps not so much. Classic went from being one of the best players in IW this game, lackluster. And then you talk about Decimate, still pretty new in general. So I don't see them breaking into a top 4. I really don't.
Yeah, I don't either. Again, still a very weird move to me. You imagine that Hook and Classic probably didn't have too many options, right? Like they were on the outside looking in. They got 7th, 8th at Pro League. There was all this stuff talking about Envy. They're not that good anymore, yada, yada, yada. I think what this will do, this will elevate Hook. I think this will even elevate Chino. So you always talk about when you have great players on your team like Slasher who's just picking up kills. As soon as that goes away, there's more of an opportunity for you. Like those kills are on the map again. You can pick them up. Maybe you can even play the play style that you want to play. You can be more comfortable. But are Chino and Hook going to carry you to a championship? I don't think so.
Probably not yet.
Yeah,
at least.
Probably not yet. I was just looking at stage 1 stats. Looking at Decimate. His S&D was great, but like Hardpoint and CTF, not so much. He was below a 1 in both, and we even said like he had a couple of great performances that sort of boosted that, and he's still below a 1. It's just a huge question mark for me. I can see this team getting in that 5 through 8 range, or sort of even being on that 9 through 12.
Yeah, for sure. And then one more point, I saw someone put this in the chat, is like we talked about all these S&D stars at the start of this game of which one is going to be like the breakthrough player. I feel like these rosters are like their shot to become mainstays in our community, right? Like you get on a probably much more established organization, more established team, players that have, gotten close to winning or have won tournaments in this game, right? This is their chance to solidify themselves as top players in the game. And if they flop on these rosters, that's detrimental to the career at that point. They're just getting started. This is sort of like their opportunity to hoist themselves up and move themselves up in the player stock ladder, if you want to call it that. So very important next couple of months, I would say, for these players in particular.
Yeah, definitely so. So what do you think, Teep? Better, neutral, or worse?
Worse.
Yeah, so there's two ways to look at this for me. From a talent level, I think they get worse. You obviously lose Slasher, you even lose Temp, who Temp had a lot of talent. In terms of overall chemistry, like placings, I think it'll be neutral. Again, this is another team similar to TK where they were declining. I think they'll still be in the 5 through 12 range, just depending. That's why I'm going to go neutral because they didn't have many good placings except for Atlanta. Well, he has Birmingham too, so I'm going to go worse. Never mind. I'm going worse because I don't see this team placing top 4 twice.
Yep, I completely agree. And Slasher has been one of, if not the best players of the past a long time.
Has Optic Scrim Rise? Do you have they played Rise?
Recently?
Yes.
I think they may have played on like Friday or something like that.
Okay.
I have to double check on how the maps went. I've been all over the place lately.
I know.
So.
All good. You've been a busy man.
Hey, but most importantly, Orange, we made it to relegation tournament. I'm stoked.
Yes, you
all
did.
Right, let's move on.
Yeah, so those were sort of the big ones. These next ones we can sort of fly through a little bit quicker. This one was interesting to me. This is why it's sort of on the top of my list because I want to have a discussion about it with you. Enable to Lightning Pandas. So Enable, after getting or leaving or getting dropped from Evil Geniuses, I think he thought he was going to get picked up by a team.
Yeah.
And maybe he was, and some things got through, like maybe Envy or decided to go with Chino over him, or TK decided to go with Pharaoh over him. There could have been all these crazy scenarios, but do you think that him not making relegation will be better for him in the long run? Because the way I look at it is, it was his last scenario. Point. And he knows that 12 teams after Seattle could potentially make roster changes. Like, what if someone flops once again? Like, what if Envy places bad? Like, do they go after Enable? Because if Enable joins Lightning Pandas, they qualify for relegation. I think if they get to the relegation qualifier, they make it. There's too much talent. But, does Enable for 4 months want to play with that team? Or was he just kind of saying, yeah, I'll play with these guys. If it doesn't work out, we didn't win the online qualifier, I'll go to an event. I'll sort of show off, right? I'll be a little bit of a showstopper. I'll have a great stats event. And then I am just going to hit up these 12 teams that are in the league, or maybe it's 6 teams who place bad, and try to get on that team. Maybe all of Lightning Pandas, right? Talk about the talent. Royalty, Gunjar, Enable.
That's the point I was going to bring up next.
Yeah.
When you talk about talent on this team, do you think Enable can showboat or out-talent people like Gunjar and Royalty on this team?
I don't know.
Royalty's nasty.
Right. The one thing I'll say is Enable was in the top echelon for a lot longer, right? He has friendships. He has connections. It is what it is.
His stock is higher in the community. I agree.
It absolutely is. So, say, for example, I'll just bring up Envy. Say Decimate has a bad event. Does Enable go to Envy? Does that put them in a better position? Does that put himself in a better position? To me, this play for Enable, I think this works out better in his favor. Yeah. I bet you he gets on a lead team. I know he's not on one right now. I can imagine, again, Lightning Pandas was his last chance. Again, a great team. I don't know. They could have gone on maybe like a deep run at champs, like one of those heroic stories. But to me, I know Enable wants to win.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was his first choice or just his last one.
If you have to assume, it's one of the last ones, right?
Yep.
So, going to be a good networking event for a lot of players that are going to have their eyes on certain spots that might be up for the taking after this Seattle event. Going to be very interesting to see how Enable and Lightning Pandas can do. Obviously, playing throughout open bracket, crazy stuff.
Yeah, what do you think for Lightning Pandas? Better, neutral, or worse? I mean, they obviously lose Doug. Doug goes to complexity.
Yeah. I don't actually know. Neutral.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
It's a weird change. It's a forced change. Yep. I'll just go neutral.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. Again, you could say they picked up more talent because, you could probably say Enable has more talent than Doug. Maybe even not in this game. I don't know.
It's tough to say.
But you know what Doug brings to a team? He brings selflessness. He's your objective player. He does what he has to do. In terms of talent, sure, but overall, I don't think so. So yeah, I'm gonna go neutral.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we go over to Evil Geniuses. So Enable gets dropped, Nameless gets dropped. They're in some tough positions, and EG. So they get Silly, they get Assault. I like the Assault move. The big question was with the Evil Geniuses was pacing. Who's going to help Apathy? And I don't know if this solved the problem.
Yeah, but speaking on terms of talent, you have to give the edge to Silly and Assault for the performances throughout the rest of the year, right? That's kind of
Sure.
where I'm leaning on this. I feel like who is going to be that guy? Silly's not going to play as fast as Apathy, though. You're right. Like,
Or is he? Like
Or
maybe
he
Pristini. Maybe Pristini was so fast,
too fast.
Yeah, like too fast.
Yeah.
Maybe the pacing will be great. I've seen some like Reddits or I've seen some threads where they think this EG roster is pretty solid. I will say I think EG did really well. I thought Pat
for
played
sure.
it well. He got Assault.
Pat is so good at this crap,
Yes.
dude. He always finesses into a. You look at the roster at the end of it, and you're like, "Holy shit, that's not bad." That's been Pat's past what, like 2 years, 3 years.
Yeah,
it's been crazy.
It's not bad. It isn't that bad. I think he gets Assault, who they wanted a dedicated main AR. He wants to be the flex player to have that, right?
Yeah.
That was the big question with the old EG. Enable was the main AR. Well, he wanted to run sub. Then Nameless is the main AR. Just didn't get enough production from him. So they go after Assault. I like that. And then Silly, who was running a sub for United. So at least they have roles figured out, right? Like they have roles. It's easy now. Pat can do what he wants. But I think the big thing to me is Pat gets it's his team now. It is now his team. It is his way or no way. And I'll tell you what, all three of these players will listen to him. I think that's the other great thing.
Yeah,
like no one's gonna be like, nah, Pat, you're wrong. Like you're an idiot. Like after EG played every single match, they all like Nameless, Enable, Pat, all had a big discussion between them. Like after the stage, like they were ones that would be backstage or even just sitting in the stands, just sitting there discussing. And you could just tell that they didn't agree on the right way to play or one way to play.
Yep.
What this does for EG is it puts Pat in his captain seat.
Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Right, exactly. And now Pat he's the chef again.
Pat loves being head chef. Absolutely loves it.
Yeah.
Biggest thing, though, Pat needs to continue hit the performances that he's had thus far throughout the year, too. I think compared to the last couple of years, last couple of games, Pat's been playing pretty damn well, I must say. It seems like he knows, his pace in this game, knows exactly what he wants to do. If he can, keep on that same page, you have to think that Silly and Assault are going to be able to continue to perform well. Apathy is an obvious beast, so I have high hopes for this new roster, man.
That's it. That's the thing too. Is he kept his superstar? He lost Nameless and Enable, who solid players, but they're not players who will go off and win you a map. Pat kept Apathy. Apathy always has potential to just dominate a map and literally 1v4 people.
Yep.
He kept that. He picks up a star AR and Assault. Assault wasn't having a good time at Echo Fox. I could only imagine. That's why he's here.
Yeah.
So I think for me this is a better EG team. Plus, again, we put in they get they get Bevels.
Yep.
Bevels is a new guy this year, yes, but I will tell you I've had a lot of discussions with him. I know a lot of people who have had discussions with him.
I like the kid.
He is very smart. He will help this team a lot.
For sure. And I feel like I love, obviously, again, biased because now I'm a coach of a team, but we're seeing these teams start to be like, oh, shoot, we could get a coach. Okay. And there's more and more people that are eligible to be put in a spot like that, especially someone like Bevels with the S&D prowess that he has. I'm sure he should be able to, formulate some certain strategies, some counter strategies versus certain teams. Obviously, I feel like coaches can be utilized, but it has to be the right person for the right team. You know what I mean? So I feel like if these guys actually listen to someone like him and he can, I guess, revolutionize their S&D, because before, I know it's new players coming in and things like that, their S&D before was pretty boring, straightforward, and from what we've seen, it seems like the players that take more risks and are a little bit more ballsy in S&D tended to do much better. We've seen Rise with TJ just sprinting around the map, FaZe with Zuma last tournament just going for that first blood all the time. I feel like Bevels can really help out with that.
And I think, too, it's a bit of an underrated one. Silly never had the best stats. I get it. I've even been tough on him. The fact, again, if you were going to drop a player on E United, it was Silly, right? Like it's just the way that team worked out. You're not going to get rid of Clay. You're not going to get rid of Arcees. The chances of Arcees leaving his brother, while it could have happened, it's still very slim. So the scapegoat was always going to be silly. He did a lot. He was a workhorse for them in Search and Destroy. Like, he was always planting bombs. Like, you didn't have that on the old EG. So I just think silly, his more selfless play style, will give this team a lot of opportunity.
Mm-hmm. So I guess we'll get down to it. Better, neutral, worse. Chat
I'm going better.
I'm going better too. I think they should make it out of relegation. I think it's good improvements. The chemistry should be better. Addition of a coach. Everything's leaning towards a positive here.
Agreed.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Fellow to EU. Initial thoughts.
Just okay. So another sort of everybody was a critic to the fact that Pristini played too fast. E United understood it. Again, Silly just wasn't that fast player. So they sort of listened to everybody and they listened to themselves. They go after a fast submachine gun player. Fellow was on the outside looking in, right? He was on Complexity. Complexity didn't have the best events all year. Like, they played bad, like really bad.
Yeah.
So this is an interesting one for me. It makes sense in terms of pacing, but once again, is Felony gonna be a superstar? They need a third guy, or does this put Pristini in a position to become that third guy? I just don't know. You still have Clay and Arcees. By the way, Arcees was the #1 KD at Stage 1 playoffs, right? Like, he had a great event. It was only 8 maps, but he was a beast, you know. He seems very comfortable in that flex role. He had a 1.17, like a 1.24 overall. Like, he had a great event. Nobody else. Clay, I guess, didn't Search and Destroy. I'm looking now. He had a 1.33. But everywhere else, they struggled. There wasn't like an outlier, right? Is Felony that guy that is going to turn it around for them?
Why Fellow? That's the biggest thing I asked myself when this change went down. E United's been getting fairly good placements throughout the year. Obviously, they want to win a championship. So does everyone else, right? But when you look at the overall picture, right, E United hasn't been doing that bad. So when you make a change like that, it's like, why Fellow? Why did these 3 players in particular want to play with Fellow? That's the only reason. Like,
has to be contract stuff, right? And they didn't have a lot of options.
Or maybe they just like him or like his style. I don't know. Maybe I'm just grasping at straws here, but I feel like there has to be a reason that maybe we don't know. Maybe it was just a contract thing. Who knows? But it seems like a weird pick out of the whole pool of players that were available, right?
Definitely does.
But if it's a purely something that they did based on chemistry or something like that, I could see it paying off. But it's not like Silly was playing that poorly, you know? Definitely Fellow's going to be playing at a faster pace.
It's got to be pacing. It's just, to me, it's pacing.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
For sure. They
so
need someone faster to play with Preston.
Then when you look at in terms of pacing, like, who was on a changing team? Again, to me, the biggest free agent, the person that made sense to a lot of teams was Hook. Hook made sense to TK for Theory. Hook made sense here. But I imagine Envy has a ridiculous contract for Hook because
Envy's not getting rid of that kid. Man.
Hook was a champion at Halo. He was a champion here.
That's a franchise for sure.
He is a franchise player, so I imagine that was tough. So I totally get that. I guess besides that, though, like, who else is there? I'm trying to, like, go through past events.
Or maybe people didn't want to. Maybe their first picks didn't want to join United. I don't know.
I'm trying to think, like, yeah, I mean, that could be it. Like, maybe they just didn't have the options that other teams had. Like, maybe I still thought, obviously EG held on to Apathy. I thought Apathy would be great here. I thought that made sense. We talked about that a long time ago.
Yeah.
That, like, Apathy made sense there. Trying to think from, like, a Pro League stand. What about, like, a guy like Proto? Like, do you go with Proto over Felony?
Yeah, kind of tough picks when you go down the list a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it is pretty tough. Again, maybe they did go after Pharaoh or Blast or Decimate, but they all had different destinations.
Yeah.
So, yeah. This is
very interesting. But
this is an interesting one.
This is the one that they went with. So I'll ask you, chat, follow along. Better, worse, neutral?
I'm going to go worse.
you're going worse.
They had 3 top 6s this
Yep.
year. They made playoffs. They went on a really good run. I don't know how much worse. Like, I don't think it's going to be drastic, but I don't really see them cracking top 4.
I'm going neutral.
Neutral? Yeah, I mean, I could see them getting a top 6, but I don't know.
I think there's going to be certain things that they are better at in terms of pacing, in terms of overall map pressure. RCD obviously needs to. If he can get a number 1 KD again, that helps a lot, right? I feel like the main issues of the team that we've seen sort of shine through in some of the higher tier matchups are probably going to happen again.
Well, let's look at Felony's past, right? When you talk about Felony, he really had his liftoff in Black Ops 3 when he joined Elevate. He joined for Nagafin, right? And the reason they dropped Nagafin for Fellow was Slain. Was it Nagafin? No, it was Remy, right? I don't remember.
I'm trying to think back.
They added that team for sort of star power, and there's always that one game that sticks out to people, which is against Optic in the grand final in Anaheim. And he had one game, and then after that, like, that's what people wanted, not all the time, but a consistent time. They thought he was going to be the guy that would help propel them over Optic, or at least compete with Optic.
Right.
Let me tell you, Teep, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
And then from that year, it just went downhill.
True.
To me, what this does is just puts a ton of pressure to me on the Twins. You know what you're going to get out of Clay. As I look over to my left on their scrims as they're playing EG, he drops 50. Clay does. But anyways, to me, this just puts more pressure on the Twins, especially Pristini. Well, I guess RC's too, because he has to keep up that performance.
Yeah, I agree. And you got to think, right now Pristini's sort of getting a player that should suit his style more. If Pristini still has these confidence issues and continues to struggle, maybe it's on him at a certain point. Like, you can't keep performing this poorly. It's not like he played that poorly. Let me rephrase. But he can't be having these confidence issues. That's got to affect the team morale after a certain while when a certain player on the team just feels like he's not playing as well as he should. Like, I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be the main change to really boost them up. I don't see them really doing particularly worse, though. Neutral.
So you see a couple top 6s? Like, you see this team getting top 6?
I could see them getting top 6 again.
Whew. All right. Okay.
Yeah, I could.
Yeah.
All
right.
Felony will have a couple 40-bomb games here and there. Not a lot, but a few.
Yeah.
He's got that still, I think.
Yeah.
He should.
I just think, like, the top 4, like, again, is so clear cut, and then you talk about, like, Red and Splice and what they can do, and then after that, it is just I don't know. I have no idea, dude. It is a brawl, right? Yeah, like, it could just come down to matchups. I could see them getting top, 5 through 6, but for me, I don't see them doing it as consistent as they did it with Silly, so that's why I'm going worse.
Yeah, fair enough. Worse for Joe, neutral for me. Let's move on. The complexity move. Censor Ricky Blast along with Dashy. Dashy's been stuck on teams for quite a while this year.
Yeah, so the first thing that popped out to me when I saw this move was everybody wanted Dashy, and this is the team he got.
Yep.
Like, dude, I get it. Like, you have Blast, your S&D star friend, but this is not what you wanted. Every time we talked, every time we talked about Rostermania, Dashy was number 1, right? Like, every team I talked to wanted him.
Nope.
They wanted Dashy.
Yep.
And this is what he got.
Contracts?
Dude, Complexity locked him down, and they wanted a Pro League spot.
They know how good he is.
Ricky and Blast. You just...
Hey, but he got a league spot.
Cool. Come on, man. Like,
cool.
Hold on. Let me ask you this.
Whoa.
The last 4 months, you have Seattle, you have Anaheim, you have champs. Would you have rather? And you had well, I guess it wasn't his decision. It's not his decision, dude. This is not his decision. I was going to say, like, What if he picked up? Well, what I was to say is, what if Complexity picked up the 3 guys of uh of Lighting Pandas, right?
Ooh.
Right, like, dude, like that team potentially top 8 in the world, where they could go on a run.
Yeah, maybe.
They said in their video that someone bought his contract out, so that had to have fell through last minute. There's no way. There's no way.
I don't know if I believe that.
People, everybody I talked to wanted Dashy. This has to be a contract.
It has to be. Conversations, yeah, it's got to be.
It's got to be, dude. There's no way to be. Like, even the first event when he was on E6, the dude was dropping bombs. Everybody's like, this guy is the future.
He's a beast, dude. I think
Envy was rumored to.
He's amazing.
So they must have, like, backed out?
Maybe.
But they messed up contracts? Yeah, Envy was the rumored team. Maybe they didn't want to pay the money.
Don't just mess up. That's not how that works.
They didn't want to pay his buyout. Yeah, exactly. They didn't want to pay his buyout.
Right. Envy probably got a cheaper option and took the cheaper option. So they didn't have to pay out whatever it was. Who knows? It had to be.
Like, and again, this could be a solid team, but this is not going to be a championship caliber team. It's just not. To me. Is it to you?
Sensor, Ricky, Blast, Dashy. Okay, so when we do the better neutral rush, are we comparing this to what, the old era? Or Reckless, or whatever you want to call them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which was Ricky, Decimate, Pharaoh, Blast. So they lost Decimate and Pharaoh.
And instead they got Dashy and Doug.
Now, listen, I'll give Doug his props. Listen, I will give Doug his props.
Same.
Doug has been in this chat. He is in the past and saying, I am going to do what I have to do.
He said he's winning champs.
He said, first it was his first goal was making the league, and now he's here. He's in the league.
He made it.
Now he said he's winning champs. Again, unless something changes after Seattle, and remember, the 2 people that would have to change would have to be Dashy and Sensor.
Yep.
Right? Because Ricky and Blast hold the spot. So it would have to be Dashy and Sensor. This is the team for the rest of the year. Can Doug win champs with this team? No.
No. What if I had to pick where these guys are going to place? It's got to be a 9 through 12 or top 16.
Yeah, right?
It's got to be, right? S&D should be really nice. Hard points, they'll probably be at like a 30-40%. CTF, probably around a 50%. So they need to just have it.
Yeah, and one of their best events, potentially of 5-6, more than likely a 7-8?
Yeah. Maybe a T8. Probably not. I keep bringing it up to see. I don't know. I feel like Dashy could have got better. But
I don't know.
It is what it is. This is what he's got. We have to give our opinion on it now. Is this better than the old era roster?
So is Dashy and Sensor better than Pharaoh and Decimate to you? How? To me, it's neutral.
I'm going better.
You're going better.
I'm going better.
All right. Okay.
Dashy's amazing.
Dashy's good.
Pharaoh and Decimate were pretty damn good too. But Dashy's amazing. I think Dashy's like top tier player caliber. So that's where I'm starting.
Yeah, to me, Dashy is better than Pharaoh, and Pharaoh was the best player on Era.
I think Doug will make them better at CTF, and Hardpoint, you pray to God that Doug gets more than 20 kills.
Yeah. To me, I think they're better. I think Dashy is better than Pharaoh. I think. Actually, I mean, that's a tough one, first of all. Actually, I don't. Yeah. I think From what I've seen or know, Dashy's better than Pharaoh. Pharaoh, though, has a very high ceiling. We've seen that. Sensor probably equal to Decimate and what he brings to a team. To me, if this team wants success, it's a lot of pressure on Ricky and Blastful. I think you're going to get consistent performances out of Dashy and Sensor. It is on the other two.
Yeah, Blast has been pretty good.
So I think they're...
Yo, if you're Doug, though, you're stoked. Somehow Doug is like slowly... He's pulling a Pat right now, dude.
But once again, this is it,
Doug's
though. There's
pulling a
no
Pat.
more up. There's no more up, though. This is it, right? Like, this is... If
Is it,
they
Doug?
sign those contracts with Complexity,
Is it,
this
Doug?
is it. Unless they change after Seattle.
Doug's finessing.
Yeah.
Doug's finessing his way up.
All right, so you went with better. I went with neutral.
I'm going better.
Again, if I put them in the league with 16 teams, I see these guys sort of 7th, 8th, 5, 6 area. But that's why I went neutral. But yeah. Okay. This is an interesting one. It's very interesting.
Damn it, this guy in the chat's right. It is the old E6, minus General plus Ricky. That's true.
Is it? Oh, yeah.
Wait, wasn't Bevels on that team?
Yeah, I thought Bevels was on that team.
I just believed a guy in chat. I don't know.
Anyways, stop asking us so many... No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I think this
Hold
is
up.
sort of the...
Last thing. How does Bevels just retire with the league spot, by the way? Isn't that weird?
I mean...
That's weird.
So I will say there's more to it.
There's definitely more to it.
Yeah,
It's still
why
weird.
Bevels obviously gave up his spot for Blastful. There's more to it, but I don't think he wanted to be a competitor. Like, I don't think he wanted to deal with everything that comes along with competing. That's what I'll say.
Fair enough, but league spot's pretty juicy. Okay, let's move on.
I mean, would you want to get dumped on for 8 weeks? How juicy is that?
Probably too juicy.
Yeah.
Too juicy in all the wrong ways. Let's move on.
This is sort of the last big one. I don't think this is official, but I saw them scrimming. I think everybody basically knows it. I've seen per sources. Obviously, Temp to Echo Fox. As you know, who was on Echo Fox? Obviously, Assault went to EG.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this one. I
kind of like it.
Kind of like it as well. Because now you have Aqua back in the main AR role. You have Temp at a flex with an AR, where I think he should have been doing. I think he has a ton of talent with an AR. Again, to me, Echo Fox will rely strictly on the talent, as they did, because they have players like Aqua and Saints, right? Like, to me, this is sort of a neutral move, because I think Assault had a lot of talent. You're just kind of subbing another guy in. Still a lot of pressure on Faceno to lead these guys. I don't really have too much to say on this, because, again, Echo Fox didn't have the best placing. They were in a tough division. But, yeah, I mean, it's just tough to say. I don't know. We don't have too much on this team, right?
Yeah, that's true. I think the roles should vibe better, if you had to guess.
Yeah.
Not a lot to go off of, though. You're right. Chat, I see you guys spamming a roster. We're going to cover it real quickly. It's not on the list right now. Theory, Mox, Proto,
I put it.
And Nog. Oh, you put it. My bad. I did. Okay. I mean, it's not on the stream, but we have it on our doc, but it's not on the stream.
Yeah. Yeah,
Theory,
this was just
Naga,
announced
Mox,
today.
Proto. Thoughts?
So they'll be number one.
All right, sorry. Echo Fox. Better, worse, neutral. Sorry.
I'm going neutral. Talent for talent.
Neutral. I agree. Okay. Back to the Theory, Nagafen, Mox, Proto roster. Go.
Nagafen has looked solid. I haven't seen much of Mox. Again, Ghost Gaming, he got dropped for Parasite, right? So there's that.
Yeah.
Proto had some decent performances at Lightning Pandas, and then Theory got kicked off with TK. I mean, this is, to me, just kind of the leftovers.
This roster just screams a big ol' yeah.
I don't know if these guys get out of open.
I think I agree. That's the only thing that comes to my head when I see that roster.
I think that I don't think they get out of open. They should be number 1 seed with the amount of points that Theory should get.
Theory is number 1 seed by himself.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they'll end up losing to like Monaco in the open bracket. Like, it's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Okay, and then Europe, going on there.
Yeah, not much movement out of Europe as you can expect. I think Unilad got rid of Moose. Vitality dropped 2. They haven't announced those, although there are rumors, but we don't really talk too much about rumors. And then I guess I had this question.
Yep.
Splice and Red Reserve, do they change after they have a bad Seattle?
Ooh.
Is there change within those two teams?
It gets to the point, and we've covered this, we've talked about this from year to year. It gets to the point where the pool of players in a specific region isn't up to, the average, right? Then it's like, do you start looking to poach some top talent from the NA if things continue to go poorly? There's this pool, there's this weird number of really, really good players in the EU and not enough like supporting cast to follow them up sometimes, right? Just like, do you start to try and form an international super team?
I mean, from what we've seen, I don't imagine Splice changes from what we saw at Birmingham. We didn't see them at playoffs because they didn't make it there. But after stage 1, we saw a different Splice.
Yeah.
They just seemed back on form. They seemed to figure stuff out. The big question to me is Red Reserve. Like, there's a lot of talks about a lot of people like Joe and Josh, like, being consistent, or does for a while there it was, does Bance go to Red Reserve, right? Like, you see Josh tweeting them all the time. Like, they play together.
Yep.
They played with Rated. Like, if Bance was to leave, he'd go to Red. Like, we're not dumb, right?
Dude, Splice is just such a weird team to try and predict because one event they look so damn good. Yeah. Like Birmingham, god damn, they were frying. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And then other times you're just like, they're doing okay.
And what about Red? Like, that to me is the weird one, dude.
Yeah, it
like,
really is.
Red just, I don't know.
It's like all or nothing. Like, what?
Then there a lot of people in the chat are like, Scraps needs to go to Red Reserve. It's like,
Scraps is
does he though? Because again, I'll tell you guys right now in the chat, guys on Unilad like Scraps and Wuskin, they don't have the respect of Red and Splice.
Not quite.
That's just what it is.
Yeah,
it's plain and simple. They don't have the respect of those guys yet. Like, someone one day maybe will take a chance on Scraps, but that's literally what it is.
Yeah.
I would have went after Scraps because the guy puts in so much work. He works harder than half those guys.
Dude, you know what it really reminds me of? Like the hierarchy.
Shows up.
It reminds of like early COD, like when we first started.
Yeah,
and
dude.
Unless
optical leverage, everybody else.
Yeah. If you weren't in the group of it was like 12 players maybe, like something like that.
You
weren't even considered, and that's why we all just swapped players around until we try and found a formula that worked. And that's sort of what they're at now. They're like the NA scene was 7 years ago. It's very weird.
Scraps is really good. Like, he is the new talent out of Europe. I think his brother's pretty close as well. It's just a different play style. He doesn't play as flashy, but he's consistent. Those twins will be on the best team in Europe soon, or at least Scraps will.
Yeah. I think that's a good call.
Envy tried to get Scraps. Classic reached out, but visa issues stopped it from happening. So that's what I'm saying. So the NA teams have recognized it, dude.
Yeah.
Like, the NA teams have recognized it.
International super team, Joe. We need one.
Yeah. I mean, that's basically it from Rostermania.
These players need to realize what their ceilings are with their current circumstances, and they need to look elsewhere. In my opinion, there's plenty of talent scattered around. You got to put it together. Take the risks. I want to see some crazy shit happen.
Agreed.
All
And
right.
then I think the last part of Rostermania we can go after is after Seattle.
Oh yeah.
You think we have another big one? You think
I don't think it'll be big. I think it'll again, it's going to be up to the power players that made these changes if they felt confident enough in their Seattle performances to stay or go. Should they stay or should they go? So Slasher might just be like, I don't like this. Changes. Yeah. Probably not. But I'm just saying it's possible. It's going to be up to these top tier players to make the shuffle happen again. Because if not, I don't feel like these orgs. We got to think about the orgs too, right? The buyouts and trades and all that crap. It's just tough. It's tough to make everything work where both sides are happy and money's involved sometimes and blah 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 blah. Changes like that are tough to make happen. And if the teams that just made one are not going to be wanting to make another one so soon.
Yeah,
we have to talk about that too.
I think it'll be slower, but I think some changes will happen.
Definitely some, but not as big as
the sort
this.
of big things will be the guys at the top 5, the top 6.
Yeah.
If they feel there is a decline, they know after Seattle, right? It's like May something. I forget the day, like May 11th or something. I don't remember. It's a Friday. If they feel they don't have the best shot at winning champs, that's where they get it now. Like they're sort of used to the system, right? Because even last year we criticized teams for not making enough moves, players not being ambitious enough.
Yeah.
And I think it was just because they sort of didn't understand the system that like, all right, I have to spend the next 4 months with these guys.
Right.
Players want it bad enough, they'll go for it. And I think we're finally starting to see that though. So it will be interesting. Yeah, I agree. It does start with like sort of the top 5 teams, but will any of those change?
That's going to be either everything's going to blow up or nothing's going to happen. It's going to be boring. Yeah. We'll see.
Yep. Yeah, we'll see.
All right.
Next up, relegation.
Relegation.
Qualifiers.
Okay, so we had the online qualifiers yesterday, and sure enough, the teams that made it out was Tainted Minds from APAC. Shocker. Mm-hmm. The team from EU, which was Nordic, correct? Bids, Cami, Endura, and Nevo. I did not think that was going to happen.
Sounds like double first round into me.
It sounds like it to me too. And then from the NA side, we got GGEA Orange.
Woo! Go Tyler.
Absolutely love to see that reverse sweep to make it in. Love that. EZG Blue, other team that made it from NA.
Yeah. I mean, there was obviously some surprises. Like, obviously EZG Blue, they made it through the open bracket, right? Like, I don't have the bracket. I couldn't find it anywhere, but they did it.
Yeah.
Thought that. Oh, here we go. NA qualifier. So EZG Blue beat Gone Gaming. That's a bit of an upset. Gone Gaming was good. I remember watching them. Then they beat Midnight. So Midnight 3-1 the Pro League Online qualifier. That was the team of Theory, Nameless, Spacely, and Mosh. And that was the team that was trying to make a run for it. They got beat first round.
Yep.
Then EZG beat GGA Orange. Did you watch that series?
Yeah, I watched that.
So how does EZG look? Like, do they have some talent? Like, I don't.
They're just frying, dude. They're just outslaying everyone. I don't know. Like,
yeah, Llama God is not qualified for all 3 relegations. That's what I was saying. Llama God's here again, right?
I think Llama God's been good. I think he's a pretty damn good player individually. So
yeah,
he's qualified. He's a qualifier. That's his new nickname.
And then
on the other qualifier.
The other side of the bracket, Ghost lost to Morituri.
That's Fastball's team.
Okay, so some no names, and then at the bottom of the bracket, you had some Titans and Lightning Pandas and E6 sort of go up, and then GGA Orange beat Lightning Pandas. That's a big one right there. You got to be happy. And then they beat Ghost, and then they beat Morituri in Game 5. That was a reverse sweep, correct?
Yes.
So, I mean, besides, I think GGA Orange for me would have been a pick to make it. After that, you could have gone Lightning Pandas or Ghost, I would say.
I thought LP was going to do it, to be honest.
Yeah, I did as well. EU
their S&D looked horrible, though, from what I saw anyway.
I could only imagine. as you make your roster change right before a tournament.
Yep.
EU is surprising to me. I don't know these guys. The only one I've heard of is Endura, and I think it's just because he gets trolled online by all the good pros.
It's tough.
Tainted Minds, yeah, what we expected.
Yeah.
So who are your four? So we have the bracket now. The bracket was released today.
Yep.
You obviously have a heavy hitter in EG and GGA Orange in round one. You have Vitality and Nordic, Epsilon and Tainted Minds, Mind Freak and EZG. So I guess looking at this, and remember, so the way it works is the first round of losers will be the same side of the bracket. So the loser of MF EZG will play the loser of Epsi Tainted. The loser of Vitality Nordic will play the loser of EG GGA Orange. And then after that is when it flips. So the winners of those will play sort of the other side of the winners bracket.
Right.
So who do you got getting out of this gauntlet here?
EG.
Yep.
I definitely have. I just think they're good. The roster change was a good one. Established players.
So do you think they'll beat Orange round one?
Unfortunately, yes. I should say no, but that's what should happen, right? Unbiased.
Yep.
So EG's going to make it. 4 teams are making it out. EG, Mind Freak, Tainted Minds, Orange.
Yeah. So to me, it's just how the bracket plays out. I'm trying to do it in my head. I think MF beats EZG. The interesting one to me is Epsilon Tainted. I think Vitality, there's the rumored roster going around. I think they beat Nordic. The Epsilon Tainted, I think that's an interesting one to me. I would love to see 2 APAC teams play each other. Not get through. I don't know if they're both going to get through. But it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. What's your 4?
I think I go MF. I think I go EG. So they'll both move on. I think they'll both qualify. So just in my – okay. Then you would have GGEA Orange versus –
Actually, my Tainted Minds pick was horrible. I should definitely – I got to go off of placings on land. That's what I have to do here. I think I'm going to swap Tainted Minds for
Vitality? It's Marky B's team supposedly now. So the way it play out is Vitality should play the loser of. They should play the winner actually of EZG Tainted Minds, right? So if Vitality wins winners round 1 and then they lose to EG, they would go to losers round 2 on the other side of the bracket where they would play the loser, unless that team would lose, of MF Epsilon per se for a spot. GGA Orange, if they were to lose losers round 1, they would play. Yeah, I think I'm going to go MF, EG. I think they get through the top bracket, through the winners bracket.
Same.
Then I'm going to go with GGA Orange and Vitality.
Copy.
Because I think that works because
Vitality,
it works in the
bracket, though, yeah.
Vitality will flip.
Yeah.
So I think 3 teams from the bottom side get through because of the flip bracket and because GGA Orange or EG will lose round 1. That actually works out really well for those teams. I know that first round's scary, but it works out really well because the bracket flips.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think 3 teams from that bottom side will get through. So yeah, those are my 3. EG, GGA Orange, Vitality.
What's the logical picks based on how the bracket should play out? We'll see what happens.
Right. All right. So that'll be interesting. That'll be Thursday. This Thursday, guys. Seattle is in. It'll start the 19th. So this Thursday, we will find the 4 teams that'll be joining us in stage 2. And then joining those teams. So the 4 teams that qualify, we're going to take a look now at Seattle pools.
Bang.
Those 4 teams will randomly be put into this. It'll be like a random draw Thursday. But looking at Seattle pools, after all the roster changes, Pool A is scary as can be. You don't want to go to that one. You have to talk about FaZe. They're your champions. Rise Nation. They now have Slasher. And then you have Echo Fox. And I imagine Echo Fox feels pretty good now. They have Temp. Again, after a roster change, it's a bit of a refresh, right? It's a restart.
That's a tough pool. God damn.
Yeah. Pool B, again, these are based off of placings within stage one. Pool B, you have Optic, you have Envy, Unilad. If you're Optic, you're probably feeling pretty comfortable. But if you're also Optic, maybe you're a bit too comfortable. Maybe you want a bit of a challenge. LG.
Can we stop playing Envy every damn pool? It's like the seventh time.
Yeah.
Damn.
The new one. So maybe it'll be a bit of a better one, but you have Optic has dominated Envy this year and last year.
Yeah.
Pool C, taking a look, LG United Complexity, an interesting one, but I think the favorites there are LG United. United Complexity could be a solid series. That'll be one where Felony is going up against his old squad, but I think LG gets out.
Oh, yeah.
No problem. And then Pool D. I think people are like, oh, Pool D. Pool A is way tougher than Pool D.
Oh, Pool A is really
Pool A is ridiculous. Plus, they're going to get a random seed.
If you get out of relegation, if you get randomly slotted into Pool A out of relegation, you're like, God damn it.
Plus, you get number one seed out of Open.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Anyways, Pool D TK, the new
tough.
TK, right? They're going to be able to show off Red Reserve and Splice. Well, I mean, I guess Pool D could be. I guess it just depends at how good TK is.
Yeah, are they going to be as good as they were?
I can see Pool D being tougher than Pool A. Both of those are scary as hell. Pool B and C make a bit more sense, but...
Okay. I see what you're saying, but it's definitely not as tough. It might just be might be crazy because Pool A is so hard, but I feel like the level of competition might be a bit more even in Pool D.
It's one of the lower bracket qualified teams, so that makes sense. Where the top two go to C and D, the bottom two go to A and B. That makes sense. Okay.
Gotcha.
So your GGA Orange boys could be she's going to Optics Pool. That'd be pretty cool, but don't go into A. Anyways, Pool D is an interesting one. You obviously have Red Reserve Splice. That'll be a fun one, that EU rivalry, and then you'll get to see TK is going to be tested right off the bat. That new TK. So, I mean, I don't know if you want. It's tough to go through and say like who's going to get out, but I guess out of these three teams, Tyler, who do you think gets out of each pool? If you had to pick two out of Pool A, who would you go? Because remember, FaZe is not good.
I know.
FaZe is not good in pool play.
Or the winner bracket.
Yeah.
Is FaZe going to play as well as they did at playoffs? Oh my gosh!
Talk about the changes, right? The changes of the game. That's going to be the interesting part.
The meta change, the roster changes. I think Echo Fox is going to be looking probably about the same. I think Rise is going to get first. FaZe very, very, very closely gets second. It's going to come down to some crazy crap.
Yep.
Pool B, Optic, and you have to pick Optic Envy right now.
We'll see how good Unilad will be. They have there's a rumored new fourth.
True. But I'm going with Optic Envy still, just because that's been the pool every single time, and it happens every single time. Sticking with it.
Let's see it. If we say so, like if they get one of the top two teams, like EG or MF slots there, do you pick one of those teams? Does EG get out?
I might low key take an EG.
There. Would they would go to the lower? Okay, so this would be AB. This would be This would be a losers team. Like GGA Orange. Do you think they could get out of Pool B?
Ooh.
Because that's the thing with Orange. They've done it time and time again. They got out of open bracket. They've looked so good. You talk about the team chemistry.
Yeah, right.
And then they get to pool play, and it just goes downhill from there. I would also love to see them start in pool play. It's a little different.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. That could completely change what goes on. If the only way Orange is going to beat some of these teams is a Game 5. I love the S&D that they got, but the hard points are not consistent enough, in my opinion. It's got to be like a map 5 wins so far, unless they play out of their ass, which is possible. But logically, you have to pick. I think I just still pick Optic Envy. It sucks, but logically, you have to do it if you're unbiased.
Yeah, I agreed. I think Envy will be a bit of a surprise. I loved the way Chino. I just like Chino as a player. I thought he was so clutch for TK. I think Hook will be a lot better. Yeah, I agree with Optic Envy.
Okay, and then we'll move on to Pool C. Yeah,
I would love if G went here.
oh my God,
man,
that'd be golden. That'd be so much fun. Absolutely love to see it. Based on these teams, I think I still just go LG United for sure. I think it's going to be around the same.
Yep.
Pool D, which splice and which red are we going to get?
Or do you go with both of them? Do they beat TK?
Ooh,
do they both beat TK?
That's a crazy choice there, Joe. That's definitely a possibility. I'm taking TK Splice.
You're going with the new TK.
I'm going with the new TK, and I'm going with Splice. I'm sticking to it. What are you picking, Joe?
I'm going to go Red Splice.
Red Splice, new TK, no?
I'm going Red and Splice. I think the new TK is solid. I think they're really good.
Whoa.
I don't know, man.
Joe's an EU fan. Crazy.
This is my one thing is Rated did tweet out that they're not going to play Splice. So I don't, oh man, that's another thing. They haven't been in America. Well, we always talk about when the game changes that it takes Europe a little bit of time to catch up.
True.
That changes my mind now. That changes everything because if Red could practice against Splice.
Meta. Yep.
Yeah. I think I'm going to go TK Splice.
Oh.
Nah, I'm sticking with it. Red Splice. Yeah, dude. We'll just stick with it. Yeah, we'll go with it.
That's your gut. Stick with your gut.
I'm going with my gut, dude. I got a nice gut.
You got a real beautiful gut. Okay. What else do we got on the agenda? Is that it?
I think that's it.
We covered it all.
We did it, man.
Juicy topics. Man, it's good to be back. We got 1,250 viewers. I thought it was going to be a little bit lower, so shout out to all you guys hanging out in the stream. Sorry we've been so inconsistent. It's my fault. It's not Joe's fault. He's full-time talent now, and I'm just busy.
I have a lot more time.
I'm busy trying to get people good at Call of Duty. I'm trying my best.
I probably have more time than you now.
Yeah, you probably do. At least recently.
Yeah.
But after Seattle, we have a decent break. So, man, we're going to have so much content for you guys. Just you wait and see. And we got plenty of COD content going on. We got Nameless and the Pros putting on their CODcast. You love to see that. Hashtag Revive COD. We're doing it together. Joe and I will probably be doing a lot of streams on Ranked Play when the new season drops. Maybe we'll get some sub games in. Oh, there's just so much Call of Duty stuff going on. We still got Stage 2. We still got Anaheim. We still got Champs. It's lit. It's absolutely lit.
Is a breakdown for Stage 2 divisions out yet? I believe it's in the Pro League handbook. I don't know if it's live. It should be I don't want to say anything. But anyways, do you want to take a couple of questions?
Yeah, we'll do some questions.
Just a couple. This has been a longer episode. We had a lot to cover.
Right. Once again, sorry for being late, guys. It won't happen again, I promise. Some work stuff came up. But let's get a couple of questions before we end the stream. We appreciate all you guys watching. It will be up on our YouTube channels probably later tonight or tomorrow or something like that if you want to catch the VOD, if you weren't able to watch the whole thing live. Be sure to check out the CODcast, Nameless's podcast or show. I believe they're doing it tomorrow. Let's all support each other. Joe, you found a question.
Yeah, I found a couple. So can someone explain relegation? Josh, I can do that for you. It's just a double elim bracket. It's 8 teams. The bottom 4 from Stage 1, along with 4 that just qualified in. So those 8 teams will match up in a double elim bracket. You win 2, you get out. You make it to Stage 2. You lose 2, you're out. You don't make it. So It is where dreams come true. Intense draft. Tiepenmark, as of right now, if you had to call the champs winner, who would it be? Who would you take to pick it? And this is a tough one. Actually, I don't know if we should wait on this one because I think a lot will change in Seattle because the game just went through a really tough patch. I was thinking about that. I don't have one right now in Intense Draft. The game's been pretty crazy, and the game's just gone through a crazy change. So,
Chat, you know who I'm picking. Hashtag Green Wolf.
If the game didn't change as much as it just did, I probably would pick Optic. Again, I think they should have won Stage 1 playoffs, and I feel like as soon as they win, they sort of take off.
Yeah.
But they haven't.
Right.
Relusive says, could you see FaZe winning another championship?
No.
I don't know if I do either. I think it took a lot for them to win it. I think I think you
something special happened in Stage 1 finals, man. I don't think it's going to happen again. A lot of things, they played extremely well, but a lot of things went their way as well.
I think you saw the potential of the team. I think you absolutely could, because the talent is ridiculous, but with how inconsistent FaZe has been, I felt like they were sort of owed one, right? Like the one had to have happened sooner or later just because of the talent of this team. I don't think it'll happen again this year.
It's good thoughts there, Joe. Let's find some more questions. Come on. I got a lot of Optic-specific ones.
Sure.
Let's see. Which teams will the new meta help the most?
What could help a team like FaZe? That's where.
I think the patch helps Optic tremendously. When you think of the ways that we normally lose, we give up a crap ton of streaks. That's not as big as a problem anymore.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah.
What else? I feel like nades are going to be basically irrelevant, and this is my opinion of Optic and their nades. They didn't throw the greatest nade, or let me rephrase, not the most coordinated nades a lot of the time. So I feel like they're not going to have that problem as much, because Armored, you can just take them, bang, 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 you're good, you're chilling. More gun-based, exactly, then that's where Optic's going to do well. Obviously, I'm biased, so.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. It will be very interesting, like a lot of these questions, like, I would love to answer. I just don't know yet, because honestly, we're playing World War II V2 in next week, right? Like, so much is going to change. I'm just thinking about search and destroy. If everybody's running armor, like, how many smokes are we going to see, right? Like, S&D is going to change so much.
Oh, dude, it's going to be way different.
Well, it's going to be so different.
You got to think of the information. Like, your like entire strategies can be developed around having a nade and a tactical. You can gain so much information. I'm already thinking about crazy shit, Joe.
I believe it, dude. I believe you've been busy at work. We'll do one
down
more.
On the notepad strats. We'll see if we actually use them,
though. Let's see. One more. So out of the new teams, who do you think is the best team?
I'm not including Optic, and I'm going to pick Rise.
I think Rise was the easy one.
Yep.
Out of the best. I'm really, in terms of like has the potential to win a championship. Again, we talked about it. I don't know if EG does. I don't think Complexity does. I don't think Envy does. I would probably say TK. You still have Accuracy and Kenny, who have been absolute beasts and monsters, and you add Pharaoh and Methods. Again, TK went the talent route. They went the way.
You got to think, too, like, do all these roster changes make the stable teams that much better in, like, Optic and LG?
Yes. I think that's what to me, the tier 1 teams are tier 1. Like, yeah. Optic, LG, FaZe are there, and then I think you add Rise to it just because they add Slasher.
Yeah.
That is the top 4. There should be no questions asked about it. Like, those teams, I think, are just going to be so much further ahead.
For sure.
Yeah. All right.
All right. That's going to do it. We had a nice hour and a half, basically, show. We appreciate you guys hanging out. Joe, thanks for joining me. Sorry I was late, buddy.
All good.
That's on me. I apologize. I will